Warning! This video contains adult content not suitable for children.
Greetings and salutations, world. My name is Bell.
I'm Granger.
And this is Nick Flynn.
It is.
Very special guest.
What's up?
Let's get a couple of these. Yeah. Woo. Nick Flynn's in the house.
I thought I had to throw you off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always we're sitting there. Somebody's sitting in between two J's right here. So, change it up a little bit.
Change it up between a Bell and a Grange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's like between a rock and a hard place. Sorry, Nick.
That's all good, man.
I know, right?
It's all good.
How you been?
I'm good, man. You guys doing all right?
Doing good, man. I mean, other than there's snow, it's Sunday morning, there's snow on the ground.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
That is not the white stuff I wanted to wake up to. I swear to God.
No. Yeah, just waking up and getting punched in the face with that. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I was commenting to you when you came in. I'm like, man, we got snow and leaves falling at the same time, and that to me just doesn't sit right. No. I don't like seeing both of them, like one or the other. I don't want to see both. Like, we got two different things going on at once.
Nature said you get what you get, yo.
Right.
I guess. I mean, nature is... I mean, it does seem like nature's messing with us. It's got supremely cold and then it snowed. And it snowed the other night, too. Like, Friday night, it snowed as well.
It kind of snowed.
But it didn't stick.
It kind of snowed.
I can see it today. It's sticking. Yeah, I don't know. It's getting cold. It's November. It's, what is it, November 15th when this comes out?
Yep.
So,
Cool.
it's getting there.
So you guys gonna have like a weather section eventually, the Kokomo Press?
Yeah. We'll
is
just.
that what you're gearing up to? Is this
We
kind of
used
a
to
beta
have a
test?
weather guy,
A
actually.
weather guy?
Yeah, his name's Lance.
Weather guy. I like it.
He was our weather guy, and really, it was just like he would just be like, "Fucking global warming, back to you."
Yeah. Fucking global warming.
Fucking global warming,
The
back
world's
to you guys.
fucking ending. Do you
Yeah,
not realize this? Australia's on fire.
It is on fire.
I remember that one. He did the Australia's on fire, and we're covered in snow. We don't know what's going on. Yeah, now they're all stuck in their houses, so they can't go anywhere, which is pretty wild.
I mean,
No Rona though, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
allegedly.
I mean, but they're
Allegedly,
like
right.
nobody there. Like, there's less people that live in all of Australia than in California.
Australia's wild as fuck, man.
It is.
Like literally everything. Like it seems like everything out there is out to kill you. Like just be going up to a rabbit and like, oh, watch out, like that's poisonous. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like,
I pulled poisonous rabbit.
yeah, it's like, Jesus Christ, everything's out there.
And then they're like,
Australia.
I'm gonna put my finger in his butthole.
Yeah, they're wild out there, man. Different group, bush people, man.
Yeah.
All that.
I'm down with it though. Like I don't want anything to do with it, but I'm down with people like that. I like having those people around.
I found myself super intrigued, at least this week, and I kind of told you about this, about just people with Australian accents for some reason. Like, I don't know. I think there's a thing to it, and like, I don't know.
His was pretty good. We might.
His was I was just thinking that too. I was like, oh.
He was take like innocuous videos and do like Australian.
Right, there you go.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, like a poor man's Aussie man reviews type deal. I like it.
And for some reason, it gets thousands of views. So we're like laughing. Like we should just do it over like stuff that makes. I always make it a grilled cheese sandwich. That's how we do it. Something like that. It's like I was like, I gotta listen to like 50, 100 Australian videos because that's how I learn accents. Is I have to like dive myself into like listening to it, and then I'm good for a little bit, and then I'll forget it.
Right.
Like when Black Panther came out, I had to be careful because I was doing Wakanda Forever accent forever. I'm in the store, Kroger, doing it, and I'm like, man, somebody's gonna beat my ass.
Yeah.
Walking around going, listen, Wakanda Forever, like doing that over and over again. Yeah. It's like, I was like, no, I mean it out of love.
Oh man,
Love it.
Yeah.
We need our allies, I guess. So you're trying.
I'm out here trying.
Got to be careful with the accents these days, man.
I know, man. There's some crazy ones though. I mean, like I said, the Wakanda one is like my favorite one. I think that's the coolest.
That was pretty impressive. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed by the Australian one.
Yeah, no, I think we found our guy.
Yeah.
I'm the guy. I'm
You're
Mr.
gonna say
Australian.
it was
I'm
pretty
awesome.
good. I liked it.
This is fate. It has to be fate.
So
we
did
were just
you-
talking about this yesterday?
Did you do any of the accents on stream, or did you just keep it?
Man, streams. So, yeah, originally I was streaming on Twitch for a while. I honestly, it was such a blur because half the time I was getting blasted drunk and just having a good time.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was great. So I'm sure accents happened at some point. We did a lot of wild things. It originally started, my brothers and I, there's 4 of us. I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and we all kind of used to, especially now they're all in the Army, I'm prior military, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're all kind of spread out. So we still get together and hang out, and then we're like, man, this shit is just too funny, the things we do. We need to start streaming. So I kind of took head of it, but then with them always deploying and having crap going on, I kind of was just the only one continuously doing it. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
But yeah, accents. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, if you look at some of my like old stuff, like from like 5 years ago or so, when things weren't so, so tense, if you will, I'm sure I'd be canceled probably 17 different times for the shit I did, probably. Yeah. But hey, that's life.
We gotta get canceled to get famous. I'm just saying, there's a pattern to that. So.
It's a cycle, and we've been on the like. I got canceled right there.
I see that.
I got canceled. Yeah. So like they cancel. You've been canceled. You got time off of Facebook for canceling.
I don't think that counts.
A little bit.
That's just Zuckerberg.
Facebook controlling you is canceling. Especially if it's over something innocuous like calling out some like racist guy or something.
I don't know, man. Like Facebook controlling you is kind of canceled, but I learned that like I can go out and make people hate me, and just kind of naturally, so it all evens itself out.
So you were streaming, mostly with your brothers and stuff, so you guys could. It's basically like a hangout session, just from far away, and doing the streaming, and then you kind of start doing it on your own, and then you're like, man, it's fun without having my brothers around. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Still, even when they would make their appearances, I really was like driven to do it. With me getting older and then having a daughter and everything else, that was where I was going to go next. The Zoomer generation, man, they're just a step above as far as gaming and streaming. I just feel like I feel like an old man now.
They grew up with the controller in their hand.
Yeah, it's like I just got off work. I just want to have a good time. Please don't kill me 45 times in this game. Like, come on, let me have this.
Yeah, you can't eat. You can't do anything except for stare at the screen, because if you try to do anything extra while you're playing these kids, they just destroy you.
Yeah.
I watch my son, and it's just like this is the whole time. Like the screen looks like this, but he's like in control. I'm like, how are you in control?
It's
of the
like,
screen like this? Like I would be dizzy 20 seconds in.
Right, I would have to rail copious amounts of Adderall to do what these kids do. It's insane. And then and like we were talking about with the tensions nowadays with everything politically and just with just everything in general, it seems like nothing can come to agreement, and Twitch has become a bit of a mess. That I didn't agree with, so I'm just like, I'm kind of done.
I'm completely cool with like I'm cool with progressive ideas. Like obviously, I think we all kind of are like, okay, we all want people to have the same rights. We all want all that.
Right.
We all in agreement on that. But I think where it gets a little crazy is when you start to make it so people can't even goof. Like if you can't goof, then it's like it gets hard to do a lot of things. And when you're like on stream and like maybe you're having a couple drinks, or you're having a good time, you're a little high or something, and you're smoking weed, and you're like with stream, and you say something stupid, and then now you can't stream anymore. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You're like, wait a minute, I was wrong, maybe, but like, come on, I was just fucking around.
And there's a difference between making a kind of an edgy joke and then pulling what was that Miami Heat player that straight up
Incognito.
Yeah,
is that who it was?
No, who the hell was it? It was a couple 2 years ago. Someone from Miami Heat. I forget who it is now that put out a Jewish slur, and I'm like, okay, that's not cool. Like, probably can't say that anymore. Right. But
oh yeah, I remember that.
It's a white guy. Damn it, what's his name now? Forget.
I know there was a guy. I know Richie Incognito got caught saying the N-word, right?
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that. Like, you're just dumb. Like we're well past. Oh, that was a mistake. But
I mean, you find all sorts of like athletes or public figures. You're a NASCAR guy, right? So like, what was that one guy's name that
Brandon? Let's go, Brandon.
No.
Don't get me started on that.
He was on a Twitch gaming stream and said something, and then a bunch of his sponsors got pulled for racing. And things like that.
That was Kyle Larson. Yes, and that's
you like him. That's one of your guys.
It's not one of my favorite drivers personally. I
remember you talking about it.
He has to go gray,
which makes sense.
Yeah, it's not so much that. I mean, he said that it's not cool. We all say dumb shit when we're playing video games. Not gonna justify what he said. It's not good. But
was it the F word?
No, he dropped the N-bomb.
He should have went for it.
Yeah, okay. But not that it helps, but it was to one of his black friends. Whatever. Still, not cool, dude. You got thousands of people watching you. Probably shouldn't do that.
You should probably be smart.
Yeah, or if nobody's watching, just don't do that. Don't. You're not.
He's like, I got a pass with him, but you don't have a pass with the thousands of people.
Yeah, still don't use that word. I got like our boy Scrap that was in here. That's my guy. I don't just sit there like, hey, what am I? That's. Come on, man. Read the room.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, that's actually, it's funny you mention that. It's a huge story because he was banned all of last year, basically. He had to take sensitivity courses, everything. Like, he was out of the sport, and he was one of the most, and I always said, I was like, this kid is one of the most talented drivers I've ever seen. Like, he is throwing his career away. Well, Luckily, he got a second chance, I guess, for him, and he's literally he's our champion right now. He won the championship just last week. So,
Baller.
Yeah, it's...
Is it overall or just one race?
For the whole season. The season just wrapped up last week.
It's a points thing, right? So I've tried to... I've like kind of followed a little bit of what's going on every once in a while with NASCAR, but I didn't grow up in it. You know what I mean? I knew people that grew up in it that, like... That's one of the reasons why, like, man, I grew up race car, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt Jr., like, all the...
Right.
Richard Petty, like that's
Old
who
school.
I know.
Yeah.
That's who I know. And when I hear new names now, it's like I'm like I don't know any of these people.
Right. Yeah. I was just watching a YouTube video literally I think 2 nights ago. It was like and I'm weird. I'll watch old races just as background noise as I'm working on something. And like it was like the 1998 Martinsville race, and like I got bored and looked up at the leaderboard, and I was like, not a single one of these guys is anywhere remotely into this sport anymore. I was like, no wonder nobody knows who the hell anyone is anymore. Like the 90s was.
I don't know a lot about racing at all. I know Earnhardt because you can't not know Earnhardt or anything like that. I've always been really confused about like the points with racing. I know like it's all about wins and things like that.
Right.
But like I really want racing to just incorporate just stuff on the racetrack. Like we need some coins and things like that.
There you go. Some turtle shells.
Maybe small mushrooms. So, just to keep my interest because I have ADHD and I'm just saying.
I mean, the way the sport has evolved, it kind of feels it's getting that way a little bit. Not maybe with coins and turtles, but there is a lot of interesting rule change. I mean, the sport is unrecognizable. If you were to go back to when Dale died to now, it's I think that was the catalyst that started what NASCAR is today. Is with Dale dying. They wanted to at first off enhance safety, which they have. The cars are a lot slower, which I don't like, but they're getting faster again. Yeah. They were just really scared about that. Like we can't lose another superstar.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't want to lose anyone.
Well, still, like
then when it's somebody huge, then it becomes an outcry. And then there's a huge
that's
backlash. Everything happens.
You lose Jordan or Tiger or something to your sport. You're like, holy shit! Like we got to figure something out.
I mean, these things have happened in lots of different industries, whether it be acting and things like that, or even like wrestling or like whatever. Like so.
Well, the Paul George getting hurt changed a lot of how the end of the back, like where they had that. Yeah, because he got his leg caught right in between when he was coming down after what?
Yeah, right on the stand.
Trying to block somebody? Was he trying to block somebody?
I can't remember if he's going in for a drive or trying to block somebody.
He had a similar one with Depot. Depot, I think, was trying to block somebody, and then I think he might have been... I think they both were trying to block
just run through and just...
Yeah. Well, it was during a Team USA scrimmage, and then he got his leg caught on the end of there, and then it's basically snapped in half. Yeah. Now he's the only player playing on a Clippers team, which makes me happy.
But he is doing really well.
He's doing great, but he did great on the Pacers too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're gonna lose, you might as well lose in LA.
Whatever. Yeah, it's better weather.
It's warmer there. You don't have to deal with white shit that's not cocaine. So.
Yeah. Very rarely, anyway. Yeah. Well, there's lots of.
I mean, you probably do have to deal with cocaine, but
a lot less math, maybe.
But yeah, the sport has done a lot of changing and like you were saying with the points and stuff, they've really simpled it. The problem is like with all the changes, you've pushed out the older people. Like it's kind of like the baseball crowd. It's like too many changes to me, which I agree with. I'm a baseball fan. They need to stop fucking with baseball. But racing, I think a lot of the changes have been for the good. I mean, nobody wants to sit and watch a 500-mile race anymore. It's just we got shit to do. Nobody has 4 hours to kill on a Sunday to watch a race, so they're shortening the races. They're making stage breaks that are like quarters in a basketball game. Like, okay, we're gonna run 80 laps. We're gonna throw a yellow out. You guys can pit. Refresh. That's our ad break, so we're not missing action of actual racing. Stuff like that. Then they do a playoff system now. That wasn't a thing when Dale was around and in the 2000s. Because championships were getting locked up 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time because you just compile points all year. So now it's literally last race of the season. Here's your 4 best guys, winner take all. Like you gotta beat these 3 guys.
So you're fighting for the top 4.
Yeah, like the whole field, and that's what's unique about racing too. Is like even in the playoffs, the whole field's racing. But, like, the guys in the standings are racing against each other. They don't really give a shit about the whole field. They're just like, I got to beat those 3 guys right there. Like,
I like how they're kind of incorporating the fields from other sports. So, like, you got a feel of, like, college football with the playoff system now.
Right,
in racing and things like that. And those things are interesting, and the fact that they're getting smarter about racing and like how they want to present it is all good because it's all evolution. But I understand you're always going to lose people because people get used to a certain thing and they're like, you changed it on me, can't go back now.
Right,
you ruined it for me. So and that sucks. but it also is a testament to people's open-mindedness. So
Yeah, and then you get new people, and some people, like I said, they do grow up in it. But then you find new people that are like, oh, like I don't have to like my granddad. He would sit there and watch the race for like 4 or 5 hours, like you said, and be there all day. And you could walk away for an hour and a half, come back, and nothing's happened really in your head other than a couple lead changes maybe.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like you said, if they do the quarters, they can pit. Then they can get back, and then they get back out there. And with the playoff system, where you're talking about when there's like 4 guys race each other, there's a race within a race.
Yep.
So you have the main race, maybe some guy wins it. He's excited, he gets the dub, but then there's these 4 guys. This guy got second, the other 3, so he won the points race there.
Yep.
So it's like it gives you more than one thing to look at.
Yep. There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, and that's something they've incentivized too, is like in those stage breaks, they reward whoever's leading at that time with like a playoff point, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, when the playoffs come, you'll get an extra point going in. So it incentivizes that.
Cool.
It incentivizes. Word of the day, guys. Like basically every 90 minutes, it's like, hey, we have to get up front. We need that point. So it's like they're hard charging the entire race now. It's not like, we're gonna ride this out. It's 500 miles. We got nothing to do.
Yeah, it can make or break the season.
Yeah, it's like we need those points. So
that's baller.
Yeah.
I mean, and part of the reason why we're talking a lot about NASCAR here is actually you're going to start a NASCAR podcast in February.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something actually I created like all the socials for it like a year ago. Like it's been.
I just saw the one.
It's been a while. It's something I've been brainstorming for a while, but I really wanted to put a lot of thought into it before getting. So I really sat through this season and kind of did what I wanted to do without actually doing a show with it. So the premise of it is
dry run.
Yeah, kind of a dry run.
Yeah.
I've discovered 2 huge inefficiencies with NASCAR. One is the gambling side of it. There's a lot of money to be had, and not many people know shit about racing.
Oh, wow.
And the second thing is, again, not a lot of people know shit about racing. So obviously there's an avenue for people to teach about racing and NASCAR and things like that. So there's a lot of great YouTube creators out there. Like with anything, I mean, hell, there's YouTube creators for just about any topic. Yeah. But it's really hard It's really hard to, like you have your inside NBA guys, you have your Mina Kimes NFL insider people, stuff like that. And I'm not saying I'm going to be, a NASCAR insider on TNT.
Don't lower your bar before you said it.
But,
exactly, yeah.
But there's not a lot of good racing coverage out there. I mean, I'm sure you guys never knew about stages or playoffs or anything like that until we just sat down.
So I knew a little bit about the playoff stuff because, honestly, it's your fault.
It's my
because
I
follow
tweets
you on social medias with tweets and stuff. And I remember your Tony
so.
Stewart stuff from a few years ago when you're like, he's so close, he's about to win the thing. Yeah. And then he win like multiple years in a row or something like that.
Really cool. The unique thing that happened to Stewart, other than he killed a guy and got away with it, that's always the joke. Haha. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But that wasn't even a NASCAR event.
No, that was a sprint car race. But yeah, everybody knows I'm a Stewart fan, and they'll mention that and be like,
I see that shit all the time. It's okay.
So yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, the topic for this. Stay tuned to my podcast. We'll talk about that.
I gotta tell you, you already have me with the idea of gambling on racing.
Yes, gambling's
because,
huge.
One, you don't see that at all. You don't see that on major networks, really. Nope. You don't see that on any of the local podcasts and things like that are just about sports. I gotta tell you, I just went on a podcast, Gonzo's Sports Room, where they do a lot of giving betting odds and things like that for all various sports. They don't really talk about racing, so I think you have really found a niche in that.
Yeah,
and I'm excited for you. Honestly,
there's not a lot of people that know as much, and not to my own horn, but I grew up into it. I mean, my grandfather raced. My mother was a trophy girl. My dad was an engine builder or body guy. I've just been around vehicles my entire life. I just didn't have the big fortune to turn into a little one to get into racing myself. I've followed it my entire life. I know my shit about tracks and cars and things like that. But in all sports, I mean, just like in the NFL, people know their shit, and you're still going to hit maybe 40 to if you're a professional gambler, you're going to hit like 60% of the time, that. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to pick you a winner every single week. But I guarantee you the guy I do give you...
It's called gambling.
Exactly. I guarantee you the guy I do give you, unless catastrophe happens, he's going to be in the top 5 and you're going to be excited. You're going to be like, oh, I have a shot. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. The premise of the podcast, we're gonna look back to the week that was, or the season that was, I guess, for our first episode, because we're going to launch right as the season starts. And then we're going to, talk about looking ahead, some things to look forward to the upcoming race. And then, give our odds, predictions, picks, things like that, some prop bets, things like that. It's going to have kind of a sports advisor's barstool vibe, but with less frat boyness, kind of. I mean, There's some things. There's some elements
That's
of.
fun. I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'm just
There's
kidding.
some elements of Barstool I really like. There's some I don't.
Yeah.
And I kind of pick what I like out of my sports pods, and I'm like, I want to do this, but with NASCAR and with gambling. I think that is a huge niche that no one's really covering right now.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, you know your market, so that's important. And you have to know your market, and you have to know who you're trying to acquire. So if you are trying to get them, those frat boys, then maybe you got to do a couple. Hey, boy, I dare you. That's what he always
Right?
says.
Yeah. Exactly.
Stuff like that. And then they go, yeah, boys. Yeah, boys, and they're always doing it. I don't mind watching Pat McAfee. I like he gets a lot of cool people on there every once in a while, and I've watched a lot of the stuff he does. But like, it is very formulaic. Like, it's like, to me, it's like the same thing everything, and it's like the guys are all in it, and it is very, like you said, frat boyish. So I definitely feel that vibe.
I just don't think I could sell it. I mean, I'm a 31-year-old dad in Indiana. I can't sit here and act like I probably could, pound tall boys with you out in the parking lot, but still, it's like
Honestly, out of all the people I know, you're one of the few people I know that I think could probably do all this.
Still
you're like what? You could probably sell that. I mean, not saying you should,
right?
But I'm saying, I mean, Pat McAfee's got to be like what 30. He's older,
Right.
he's older than us.
Yeah, he's older.
Around the same age as me, maybe.
But,
I don't know. I'm 33, so.
Yeah, you get me out to the track, it's a whole nother story. That's what I should do, is go to each track and record, because then
I was going to ask you about going to the tracks and how in depth do you look at any kind of local scenes as far as racing goes, drag racing. I know here in Indiana we have a lot of that, whether you go down to Kokomo Speedway or up to Grissom, down to Muncie, things like that. There's lots of drag racings, midgets, and I can name a bunch of shit I don't know about.
It's called Little People, but
yeah,
okay.
No, he meant the car, but it's
yes.
There are race cars called quarter midgets, so we call AKA midgets. Everybody settle down. Yes. Here's my thing with racing is if I can get drunk and put $20 on something, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
So it just racing has that more of that rush to me than other sports, because in racing, and unless you watch it and really understand it, anything can happen in any single lap. Like and granted, it doesn't happen all the time, but in football, if it's like 28-3, R.I.P. Atlanta. But typically those games are blown out at the end. There's no coming back. But if a guy has a 12-second lead in a race, and it's happened this season actually too, that our champion Kyle Larson, he had a huge lead going into literally the final turn and shred his tire. Like his tire just gave up. See you later, and he lost.
That sounds like Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, I was going to say
exactly.
Literally
Yeah.
made movies about this.
Yeah, there's movies about this. Yes.
Cars, the original.
Yeah, there's movies about it. It's
Ka-chow.
based on a true story.
Careful.
Be careful with the ka-chows.
Be careful. But that's the appeal of it for me. And then also I've done a little tiny bit of kart racing and things like that as a kid, and it's something and a lot of sim racing and stuff. And something that people don't realize is like, well, the one argument everybody's gonna say is, oh, they're just guys driving, turning left, turning left.
Yeah, that's the
Well, the
trope.
sport, I think the sport has
That's
understood.
just road track.
That's the sport.
See, I know something.
See, there you go. He's already on it. I might need a co-host.
I already stole Jordan.
Sorry, man, you're on your own.
I'm a busy guy.
So it's funny you mention that, because the sport is looking into that, and they've already added, I think, us growing up watching NASCAR, it was only like 2 road course races a year. That's it. And the rest of it was just ovals, turn left, turn left. I think we just had 7 this year, and they might add a couple more, and even a street course maybe in Chicago.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get more. I think it is the most diverse of the racing leagues, because they literally raced on dirt again last year. They raced, quarter mile or half mile, miles, 3/4 mile, mile and a half, 2 mile, 2.5, road course, street. I mean, they race everywhere now. So it's like you got to be good just about on any type of discipline.
They're making a video games.
Literally,
like
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. But as far as what I follow, I follow it all. I really enjoy racing. And then when you're in those cars, what people really fail to realize is, because they're like, oh, they're just holding the pedal and turning left. Is picture outside right now how it's slick like that. There's no tread on those tires. I mean, they are on what's called slicks. And if you, and all that power on that car, if you hit the gas just wrong going in those turns, you're going to spin the car. You're losing the car.
Yeah.
So it's like every second they're right on the razor's edge of, either making the turn or they're going to go paint the wall.
It sounds to me like every girl in high school in the winter. You know,
Yeah,
'cause they
yeah,
never
exactly.
change their tires and they're just like sliding
Exactly.
everywhere.
Sit in the passenger seat of some 16-year-old Sunfire, and you'll get a whole new perspective for NASCAR.
Oh, yeah,
You're gonna
yeah.
be like, holy shit, how do people
More
do this?
like what they're
Right.
going through.
Except for like also be like 140 degrees inside the car with no wind. Like it's
Yeah.
just
That's crazy. Yeah, and you're like covered, like you have to have all this gear on as well.
yeah.
so
It's like P drivers will literally lose like 6 pounds in like
to
sweat.
Hans,
Yeah.
you can't move your neck and shit. Like,
Yeah. The only other sport I could think of that you're saying, like you said, there's a 12-second lead and then boom, it changes. Is like basketball. Like you could have a 10-point lead.
Yeah,
in the last 3 minutes, 4 minutes of the game, you could lose.
Yeah.
And that's how
agree,
quick
baby.
that shit is too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was freaking out last night watching the Pacers because they had a big ass lead on the 76ers, and I'm just
And
like,
then they
waiting.
gave it all up, didn't
And
they?
no, they won. No.
Oh, okay.
They're actually 6-8 since they had that
Whoa.
1-6 start. They've literally won a bunch of games and
Watch
they're coming
out.
back. Yeah, but
7th seed, here we come.
But here you go. I mean, we also had a lot of injuries, and we still have injuries. I mean, we still have people out. So I mean, watching Levert come back because he came back for that game. Watching Malcolm Brogdon come back because he came back like 2 games before that, and then we still have like a few people out. Like, this is the closest we've gotten to our starting five.
so we have a chance as long as Brooklyn still has its problems. Kyrie doesn't want to like get vaccine.
Oh yeah, every team has problems. right now.
Maybe the rest of LA just falls off, and then the Pacers are in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, first off, LA's running. Both teams in LA suck right now. They're both playing like shit. Both teams. I know. It's early, and that's what I'm saying. It's the same argument for the Pacers. Is they started off really bad early. They had a lot. 2 of their games, like the beginning of the games, they lost by 1 point, and then 2 of them they lost in overtime. So it's like they were really close to being 5-1 or 6-1 instead of 1-6. And so I'm like, this team isn't as bad as they seem. Give them a chance. Duarte's coming along, the rookie. I'm like, the 34-year-old rookie. I'm just kidding.
Right.
He's like
I am excited for him though. The kid can shoot.
I honestly was super apprehensive when we took him.
Oh, we
because-
picked on his fist. I'm not
Oh
gonna
yeah,
lie.
I was mad. I was like,
Yeah.
I posted. I'm like, man, I got some bad takes.
Right.
Now. And a year from now, I'm gonna have some really shitty takes because Duarte come out firing they're calling him the Dominican Clay. Like the way he shoots, he fires and he makes them.
Yeah.
And it's like I think he's still leading rookies with leading all rookies with points.
I think so.
And he was
Last I looked.
13th round, 13th.
13th overall. Yeah, I thought we were gonna get old Modi Mooses Modi.
That's what I want.
Moses Moody is.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy with that. He's doing well, and the team looks like last night. The team looked really well. Like Miles Turner had 6 blocks.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's getting like over 5 blocks a game is insane. Like he's not, but he's close to that. He's like almost 4, I think.
Right.
It's crazy. The team's actually really good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And honestly, like between just
all the time.
and TJ Warren hasn't even played
Right.
a moment. He won't play probably until December or January. So January. That's the timetable. End of December, early January. We got a good coach for the first time. The entire time I've been watching like the Pacers. I mean, Frank Vogel was great, but I mean, we have
Frank
Rick
went bad.
Carlisle, dude.
Yeah.
Rick fucking Carlisle.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll
see.
take it.
We'll see what happens.
I know you're so burnt out.
I
I see your shit on Twitter.
I'm so yeah. Don't
let Dustin listen. This is a PSA, Dustin. Dustin, do not take our Pacers fans with your fucking negativity. Because he switched to the Bulls and the Bulls are good. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I'll give him credit though. He switched before they acquired all those.
I don't give a shit. You don't switch. You don't switch ever.
I'll give him that at least. He didn't hop on the bandwagon when Chicago started getting good. At least I mean, he just picked a hell of a year to do it. So.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and we can do this all day. I can talk any. I'm a huge hockey fan, basketball, football.
Yeah.
Racing's my number 1, but still, I'm playing.
I know you've been. You got into. You're like the Sharks. A Sharks fan, right?
Yes,
You're a big NHL
big
guy.
Shark, and we are surprisingly young and surprisingly good.
Yeah,
we are very good.
I literally know nothing about hockey either. I feel like I'm not Canadian enough. I'm not. Canadian enough.
If
It's 'cause I'm black.
Oh, it's true.
I mean,
That's your argument for racing, but you know a decent amount about that.
yeah,
Growing up right here,
we live in Indiana.
We live in Indiana. There's no reason not to know about racing
Listen,
because,
I
like,
don't know nothing.
I used to come or go to school and on Mondays and there'd be people talking about the race on Sunday. I'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like until when I was a kid, I would watch the road track races because I thought those were the coolest because I was waiting for a crash.
Yeah.
So I was like, as dark as that is, y'all are doing it too. Don't judge me.
We all do. It's exciting.
Yeah,
Part of it.
So I got into those, but if it's just like I don't love Daytona because it feels like the same thing. I know it's a huge race, but it's just.
Yeah, think about Daytona though, and Talladega is they're what's known as restrictor plate tracks because the engines are so powerful in those cars, and the track allows them to just be wide open. They don't have to brake whatsoever. So they have to put literally a plate on top of the air intake, so less air gets in the motor to slow them down. So they're all kind of capped out at a certain speed. So really the only way to pass is to draft one another. So that's when you see them in those big packs just pushing and pushing and pushing. And like you're going like 180 to 203 miles an hour, and you're literally touching the guy in front of you while another guy's pushing you, and there's like 3 more rows doing that next to you. So Daytona's a bit psychotic, but I can see what you're saying with the oval stuff. But if you're going to watch oval racing, definitely watch Daytona and Talladega, because those dudes are nuts. They're absolutely nuts. And like it's like LA traffic at 203 miles an hour.
I appreciate having you on because I'm learning so much more. So like,
yeah, knowing the intricacies, that's what's important about. When I saw that he was, that's the thing. When I saw that he was like, I'm gonna start this podcast about racing. I want to get people into racing that maybe have never been into racing, and it's a whole new avenue. It's a different sport than it was. It's not your granddad's sport anymore, basically. It's not. And so when I saw that you were doing that, I was like, I'm gonna get a hold of Nick and see if he wants to do the podcast because, like, I did not grow up in racing. I used to say I was a Jeff Gordon fan just because it would piss people off. Like, that to me was like the thing to say. Yeah. Because he won and he was like, he was articulate, and that's what they always say. We don't like Jeff Gordon because he can talk.
Right.
We don't want.
He was the California boy when it was this good old Southern sport, and in some aspects, we're still trying to shake the stigma of the good old. I get you don't want to forget where you came from. You're a Southern sport, but there's some things we can forget about now at this point. It's
you can drink now without Didn't that originally the racing started because of
it literally started because of prohibition. So shout out to the U.S. government being dumbasses and giving me the sport that I love. Thank you.
And they were never dumbasses again.
Never again.
They've
never
always
made
another mistake.
Top notch.
Hey, potheads, catch up. All we got to do is create a sport.
Create a cool racing sport.
Alcoholics created an awesome sport. Still waiting for the potheads.
They've been working on it for years. So what if we go in another dimension, right? And it's like, all right, we're done. We're already out.
Yeah, they'll get to it tomorrow. They're gonna once they clear up.
He's a day.
So much stuff.
They will get to it. Yeah. I don't know. You've been pretty busy for a pod. Pretty busy. You had a show last night, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a wrestling show last night.
Literally right down the road.
Yeah.
How did that go? Because I haven't been able to talk to you about it.
Oh man, so we had our final show of the year at AACW Old School Lives. Sad. It is very sad, but the show I thought it was great. People hate me.
Yeah, good.
It's good to be the heel, man.
Absolutely hate me, and I fucking love it. So, I told you I was worried that I was not gonna have a voice today.
I know you messaged me, and I was like, oh no. I was like, George's gonna be over here going like this the whole time.
Oh man,
I'm Batman.
Yeah, I'm Batman.
I was super duper worried because I opened this show. I had fourth match on the card, and then I got put into the main event.
Oh, you got drafted in?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a draft, right?
Well, technically I just put myself in because look at me, I the curator, I'm marvelous, and I'm the commissioner, so I'm gonna wield some power. Yeah. But the whole premise of the show last night, we had this 5-on-5 elimination. The big stipulation for that is the team captain of the losing team can never step foot into an AACW ring again. So team captain for my team was Travis Southern.
Oh shit.
And the team captain for the other team was J.H. Hogg. So if you know J.H. Hogg, he's actually the owner-operator of AACW.
Yeah.
He gave me my commissioner powers, but he didn't want to kind of take it. He really wanted to hold on to him.
Yeah.
But justice was served. I'm fully the commissioner now.
Oh shit! You got eliminated.
I have my power, and things are going to be great. We had a fucking great show. It was live streamed by these guys.
I saw
at
that.
Gonzo's Sports Room. Shout out to them. I was on their podcast on Friday. I did a podcast with Alicon on Thursday.
I know you've been so busy this week.
Yeah, bro.
You've had the craziest week.
It has been the craziest.
I'm sure your girl's like, listen, next week you got to chill. Stay at home.
Yeah. I think like. Shout out to Kim because I love her. I love her so fucking much, and like she deals with my crazy, right? Yeah. Like because she's just super supportive. She's like, all right, because I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go to Muncie to go do this. I'm not gonna do this. Yeah, I got these things, and she's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was gonna go with you Friday to the Gonzo Sports Room.
Yeah.
But, I was watching the podcast. And I'm like, dude, I might just be your pretty guy with you there, because I'm like, I don't really know. They talk about
No,
so
you
much
would have felt
wrestling
you would have fit right in.
Yeah.
Just because look, I'm not the biggest sports guy. I watch wrestling, man.
Yeah.
I played golf in high school, so like, yeah. I love basketball and I love football and I love Indiana sports, but like I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm mentally out of Indiana sports as far as that goes. I'm not gonna jump on somebody else's bandwagon because it's still my home and shit like that. But like, you would have fit right in because you're a sports guy.
I wondered because I saw a lot of betting stuff, and I don't do fantasy, and I do betting. And I tell people when I love sports as much as I do, and I tell people that, they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, you don't bet, you don't do, because at work they even do like sheets, like pick your football, pick your wins, and then you get
cards and shit.
So much money for wins or whatever. And I don't do any of that because I'm just like, I don't know enough of. I know my teams.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't watch other teams. Like I might watch a game.
Fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan of my teams, but I'm like, I'm not a fan. I like the sports. I'm okay with the sports, but I'm not like just an overall fan of the sport. I mean, I might watch a game, between the teams that aren't my teams, but like at the same time, like I'm not gonna go out of my way for it.
No, man, you haven't lived till you had an FCS football chaser to try to get your money back. gotta get into it, man.
Yeah, you know all that betting stuff.
Yeah, it's with the state legalizing it, I really kind of dove in. I didn't know shit about it until really it got legal, and then I started looking into it, and then that's when I discovered the huge potentials in racing, because that's where I've hit pretty big. I mean, those odds are nuts.
Yeah,
because it's so hard. It is so hard to predict a winner, but man, when you're getting plus 1,300, on a driver, that's too good to not.
Especially if you know your shit.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, at least if you're knowledgeable, it's as close to a sure thing as you're going to get.
Right?
Because you're knowledgeable, you know the sport, you know what people are doing, you know their preparation, you
right?
know how well they've done on this track before, how well they've done with this type of car. You know what I mean? Or I don't know how much changes, because I know they all drive different types of cars. Right?
Yeah, so actually, and for those who are watching, if the one person who is like, you know what, I'm going to give NASCAR a shot, appreciate you. Next year will be very interesting. They're starting a new body style next year. It looks really cool. Go on Google right now. You're on the internet watching this. Go to NASCAR Gen 7. Just look it up. They noticed when they were worried about Dale and making the cars safer, they started to stray from the show model look. And and I agree with that too. Back in the 2008s through probably 2013, those cars looked nothing like what we drove on the road, and it's supposed to be stock cars.
Yeah.
So Gen 7, it's the new body styles coming out, and it literally looks like the Camaro, the Mustang, the cars that you can go out and get at the dealership. They look sweet.
I know somebody with a Camaro.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yes, I am a bow tie guy.
I saw you posted it. I was like, he's like, I got my dream car. I'm like, that's amazing. As a car guy, that's got to be.
That is.
T-tops, no T-tops.
Drop top. That's my little crew. I'm gonna get a hard top eventually. Make that my little race car. But this one's more of my, half to waist bandit doesn't drive around with the hair in my wind, so feels good.
That's awesome.
But yeah, there's a lot of changes coming. We got an exhibition race coming first week of February. I think it's in between. I think the NFL has screwed things up, so now it's like, I think the Pro Bowl and NASCAR is going to go ahead and do a race at their exhibition event, and then the Super Bowl, then like the Daytona 500. So there's like something going on for like the next 3 weeks of February. So it's really cool. But this new exhibition race they're doing is actually going to be in the LA Coliseum.
Yeah.
They're literally putting a track inside the Trojans football field, and they're going to race on that tiny ass little field, just to really get people pissed off, I guess, to get into the season. I love it. I love the idea. I love the chaos behind it.
The innovation's cool. I like the fact that they're trying new things.
Yes, they are. They have Steve Phelps is the president of NASCAR now. He kind of took over a few years ago. The old blood was kind of just old, yeah. They kind of
it was slowly moving.
They weren't overly progressive. And the Steve Phelps guy just hopped in with Ben Kennedy and we're just like, you know what? If the track's not selling well, we're getting rid of it. We're gonna think outside the box. We're gonna race in football stadiums. We're gonna do these stage breaks. We're gonna do these we want people back in the sport. So
that's what you have to do, and especially as I feel like, as our culture is changing, or we can get people to flock to these events sometimes, but I mean the bigger picture is building it on a global scale, right? So you want to be able to appeal to everyone. That's what it sounds like NASCAR is doing, because you've named like 5-10 things, and I'm like, okay, I could check this out, you
Right.
know. And I'm not
you can
not
actually
that
get
guy.
into it, right?
Yeah.
And just sitting here right now thinking about it, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I think it's brilliant because I'm pretty sure, like I said, I got to look at the schedule, and I'm pretty sure it's that exhibition is the week leading up into the Super Bowl, which is in L.A. So it's like
Keep it
that's
all-
genius. Yeah, you got that football crowd already kind of getting hyped up down in that
And
area.
there's a lot of crossover in the
Oh, yeah.
football.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then-
a lot of Southern football, a lot of Southern.
Yeah, and then
NASCAR.
you're literally racing on a football field. Like
Yeah.
it's wild. Like it's so yeah, they're trying to think of ways like, hey, how can we make things talk? How can we get that water cooler talk? Like you said back when you were in school on the Mondays. Hey, did you see what happened in the race? No one.
Yeah.
I could walk up to. If I walk up to anybody and say, "Hey, what happened in the race?" and they can answer me, that's not 45 or younger, I would give them $100 probably because it's an old sport, just like baseball, and I'm trying to make it young again.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some weird stuff with baseball, that second base rule and shit.
Oh,
like,
I hate it.
for
I hate it.
Like, there was like extra
hate it.
innings they were doing, like putting somebody at second base.
Yeah.
And,
Well, the collective bargaining agreement's coming up, so I'm hoping we, knowing baseball, they'll lock out till August, but I'm hoping that some of these rules go away. So
I mean, they're trying to get like billion-dollar contracts.
Yeah, there's some
yeah,
crazy contracts
they're
already.
they're over these $200 million contracts. They went to $2 billion now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I truly think baseball will be the first sport to pay someone $1 billion.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
because
so-
it's so irresponsibly spent,
Oh,
the
yeah.
money in that sport.
I don't get it. I mean, I know I still like I don't understand. As little as I know about NASCAR, I know just as little about baseball.
Yeah.
Just because like other than the movie Moneyball, which I fucking love, I think
Love
that
that
movie's
movie.
perfect.
Love that
but
movie.
like it's like a perfect movie. But like I don't understand why you would pay this guy this much, and like I feel like there's so much analytics into baseball that
Yep.
I'm like I don't have the time for that.
Baseball, it's funny that you mentioned racing and baseball is like two things you don't know anything about, and it's like the number 1 and 2 sports that I follow. So it's cool. So yeah, if you ever need like a
No, that's what we're here for. Look, you have racing and baseball. I can tell people about wrestling.
There you go.
And you got Pokemon.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
He's a Pokemon guy too.
I am.
He
I
loves
am.
Pokemon. Oh, so you have the sleeve, right?
Yeah, I got
he's
the.
got-
I don't know how well the camera will
Oh,
pick it
that's
up.
lit.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll post
Yeah.
a picture of it or something.
Yeah. That's baller.
We got
Yeah.
8-bit Ash over here.
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh,
like
that's
it.
baller. Yeah. I was so jealous when I saw you post it. I'm like, man, I should have
did that.
Pokemon Ink.
Right.
Who did it?
Matt Davison.
Oh, yeah,
over
he's the
Bohemian.
best.
Yeah, he's the best.
so good.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He played kickball against us. He was on kicks at the unsolicited kick picks. He was
Oh,
the
yeah,
third
yeah.
baseman. He
Yeah.
kept kicking out to me. He's one of the ones I kept catching in center field. He's got a big leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a real good guy.
He's very good.
He's very talented.
Very good with color, so shout out to Matt Davison. In fact, I got this little Mandalorian symbol here, but I'm gonna have him do some more stuff with this too next. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So,
Are you
yeah,
a huge
he's a hell of
fan
an
of-
artist.
I know you like Marvel, you like Star Wars, you like all that stuff. Are you excited about all the new information they dropped on? I mean, I know the Book of Boba Fett's coming out soon.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett is in December. Not
Yeah.
that I'm counting down the seconds from it coming out, considering I'm a Boba Fett stan.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's there.
yeah, it's literally in the colors of Boba Fett and everything. Yeah, like I'm very excited for that. Like
Yeah.
I just I'm like a schoolgirl when
Yeah,
it comes to.
And you haven't had any real. I mean, other than his appearance on the Mandalorian, you haven't had any Boba Fett since.
Yeah,
since what, the Clone Wars?
I mean, you had the original, you had your original trilogy
Yeah.
from back in the day. Then you had the prequels that had like Kid Boba, which I've grown to respect the prequels a lot more ever since
I
the
think
sequels
most people-
came
I
out.
think
I was
most
like,
people
oh
have.
wait, it can be worse.
Yeah, it can't be worse.
The sequels don't. I will give the sequels this. The only thing I do like is my daughter loves Rey.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
my daughter loves Star Wars,
Yeah.
and there's a girl that she can follow. But other than that, I hated the story.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
It's all about the bridges.
Yeah, but it's cool seeing light up every time she sees Rey, and then she thinks Kylo's such a bad guy, and I'm like, that was me with Vader and Luke and Han Solo.
It's
So
as those kids get older, they're gonna love those more, and then
Right.
we're gonna hear about how the originals weren't.
yeah, right, and then we're gonna just be like, you damn kids,
Because we grew up
your
with
shit opinions.
the prequels. We grew up with the prequels,
Yeah.
and now all of us get older. Like Matty Kroll's the same way. He's always talks about how when he was younger, he liked them, and he didn't realize why the old heads didn't like it. And then as he got older, now all the people were like, man, the prequels weren't that bad. Actually, it set a lot of stage for what we saw in the Clone Wars.
Right.
It set a lot of the stage for like all the lore. Like there's so much good information. You got to understand the backstory, and then these new ones come out, and in 10, 15 years, those people are gonna be like, they weren't that bad. You guys overthought, and then there'll be new ones.
The
It does
prequels literally made me want to watch the old ones, and I'm like,
Right.
which is the intent.
I
Oh,
watched
man.
them all. I watched the entire. So like this is probably gonna not blow your mind, but you might be like, what the fuck? I never really got into Star Wars. I love like different shit. Like I love a lot of like sci-fi stuff. So you would think I would, but I couldn't get into like the idea of how big the scope was because of where I started. I was so little, and the scope is gigantic, and you hear people talk about things. And so I got in the Mandalorian. I watched it, and I was like, "This is so badass!
Yeah,
like, I fucking love it."
Yeah.
I was like, it's like a western, but it's also not a western. It's like a space western. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it so much that I was like, I'm gonna go back and watch the originals, and I watched them all, and I enjoyed every one of them way more than I ever have in my whole life.
Good.
Like, and I've watched the originals, and I watched the prequels, and I remember watching them being like, because I never really, I was like, I would watch it, and maybe look at it and go away. But I would never get into it. But I sat and watched the whole things, and I really enjoyed them. And so I'm excited for the Boba Fett. I'm excited for the new season of Mandalorian. I'm excited for the new Obi-Wan.
Oh my god!
That's broken.
Trust me,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the advantages of having a company like Disney to do Disney Plus, to have these one-off shoots, because the movies, you're obviously going to go for the biggest stories at that point. So you're always going to follow the Jedi. You're always going to follow the Skywalker saga for the most part.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the shows is, in the universe's world, in that universe, like, the Jedi are kind of mystical beings that not a lot of people understand. We understand it because that's all we follow. But now when you watch Mandalorian and Boba Fett, in the sense, like, oh, those are just crazy old wizards and like weird, like, mystical, and it's cool getting it from that perspective.
Yeah, and you get to learn more about the you get to learn more about the Mandalorians and all that, because like, I've watched so many videos of people breaking stuff down on YouTube that I'm like, I had no idea this. I didn't know there was this going on. I didn't know there was multiple sects. There's this super ultra religious sects, and there's more like people that actually do take off their helmets. There's a queen. We learned about the sword. You have, in order to get the sword,
the black saber.
Like, you can't get the black saber. Like, and we found out, is it Bo-Katan? Is that the girl's name?
Yeah, Bo-Katan. Yeah.
She can't just take it. So we were all on this cliffhanger from the.
Yeah, she basically has to take over. She has to defeat Mando to get it.
Yeah, and
so
I love it. Like, honestly, like I said, I for the longest time I couldn't get into the backstory, and Mandalorian was my. It's funny that my voice is going out and you're the one that was worried about it. Mine keeps going out. But it's funny to me that I got into Star Wars through the Mandalorian. I think
really? Hey,
as
Disney's
a
doing their job.
33-year-old man.
It's about bridges, man.
Disney's doing their job, man.
They're doing it great. And I love, what's the dude's name that plays the Mandalorian? What the fuck's his name?
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
he's
I'm interested to see him in Last of Us. I don't know how I feel about the Ellie casting, but we'll see. I the way Pedro plays his character, protecting Grogu or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. Everybody still calls him Baby Yoda, but I'm a fanboy. It's Grogu.
It's Grogu.
So. Yeah, the way he is portrayed protecting him and how protective he is, I can see that parallel if you've ever played Last of Us, of him, trying to protect Ellie, and so I think he's gonna nail it.
I keep going back to Maddie and I bring him up because he's obsessed with The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, and I was giving him so much shit for The Last of Us 2 just because like there was so much weird stuff in that.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. Last of Us 1 is like a top 5 game for me. Like, I literally
it's his favorite of all time.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Like, I love Last of Us 1, and I played Last of Us 2, got about an hour into it, and literally uninstalled the game. And the reason why, and it's funny because everyone's like, oh, it's because Ellie's a lesbian and this and that, and I'm like, no, it's not because of that at all. It's spoiler alert. Fast forward like the next 30 seconds. Spoiler alert. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Yeah.
And
it's been out long enough.
Here it is. Let's say. Plus, you've had time. F off. I don't know how it ends because I uninstalled it. So, Joel, who is the main character, the first one, literally like gets his face caved in with a with a golf club, and then like you're just playing as the murderer at this point. I'm just like, I don't give a shit about it. I'm just gonna go walk into zombies and die on purpose. Like, F you, chick. Like,
if you actually care.
Yeah, like, it really pissed me off. I know it's supposed to, like, she's supposed to grow, and there's supposed to be this big thing, and it's going to tug at your heart, but I'm just like, you killed off my main favorite character. I'm pissed off right now. Like,
how can I finish this?
Like, yeah.
And now I'm just supposed to be the killer.
Yeah.
Like, and that is the killer, the super buff girl that everybody was making fun of.
Yeah. So
they're like, they brought this, like, this girl that's just, like,
she's kind of jacked.
Fucking jacked. It doesn't make sense. Like, she looks weird. I just remember when it came out. But China still looked like a human.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Weird. I don't know.
Yeah. So I it's in my backlog of games to finish eventually. But yes, The Last of Us 2. I don't know why we got on this tangent, but yes.
With Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
He's from
gotcha.
The funny thing is Maddie heard that casting. He's very excited. He wasn't a huge fan of the Ellie casting, but I mean, I don't think anybody was going to be happy unless it was. Oh boy! Now it's
Elliot Page.
Yeah.
Yes, he. Elliot Page.
Elliot.
Yes.
Elliot. I can't remember his name.
That had to have been modeled. Ellie had to have been modeled off.
And I think they said that. I think that
think
even came out. That was the idea
for him.
But like it's like everybody fan casted that forever, you know what I mean? And now clearly you couldn't make that work. I mean, she could play Joel,
right?
Or he could play Joel. I'm fucked up. Yeah,
so, it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment,
especially because you spend all your life with Ellen, and I'm talking about Ellen, not Elliot now. But when Ellen was in all these great movies, and like I love that Juno. I love that movie. I think it's so quirky and cool, and I loved all the actors in it.
Right.
And I thought it was such a cool show. And then now like Ellen is Elliot, and I'm like, man, like. He was so believable as that girl in that movie, and it's just like. But I mean,
great
as long as he's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's whatever.
He's a little bit like dogmatic about it, which is always I think what throws people off when you're like you're like it's almost like accusatory for everything, and I can get that. He's gone through a lot, not just with that, but also with people just. When you're a celebrity, you hear it all. You hear every fucking thing. You have to learn how to compartmentalize. I don't know how easy that is when you're walking around and you don't feel like how you were born or like the gender you were born in. So the entire time he was probably just dealing with way too much shit, and then it just bubbles up and then it creates these almost these like outbursts, which is what you've seen with him.
Right.
So I'm happy that he's happy now, and I saw him on the red carpet wearing the little blue rose and feeling happy. The same one that I put myself.
I don't watch
in.
award shows.
You know, I don't either. But I saw a picture.
Black
of it.
people don't win, so
They do. They win everything.
yeah. Now because
He's like,
now because you gotta give him a couple, right?
Denzel won.
Yeah.
Denzel won. That's it. It's Denzel.
He didn't win for
Wasn't
all
it-
he should have.
Wasn't it Moonlight that won, but they announced the wrong movie or some shit like that?
Yeah, that was an accident. But that was they gave him the wrong thing. I mean, they fixed it on air, so at least they did it. But Moonlight, did you watch that?
Nah, I've never seen it.
I could. Did you watch it?
I don't remember if I watched it in its entirety.
I didn't dislike it. I watched it. I didn't dislike it, but also I was just like the whole time I was like, man, it feels like pandering. And that's my thing about a lot of those movies is it feels like pandering.
Yeah.
It feels like we're trying to get an Oscar. You know what I mean? Or like we're trying to pander to these people, and it's like to me it drives me crazy with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of the mainstream movies that I can't get into anymore because of that fact. Like, just tell me a good story, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell
Right.
me that, like, these people are right because, shit shouldn't matter. I already know this.
Yeah. Don't teach me a lesson. Tell me a story. I'm cool with that.
Right. And I'm good with like really big creative movies. But I get where you're coming from. The Oscar favorite movies, I typically miss a lot of those because, like, you're right. It seems like that's their goal from the start. And then also the Oscars and all those award shows. It's weird. It's like the Baseball Hall of Fame where it's like, well, we got to get this person in now. So it's like we're just gonna go like Leo.
It definitely feels like
like Leonardo DiCaprio should have won like 3 or 4 by now. But like Revenant wasn't his best movie. Let's just put it out there. Like, but yeah, he is an Oscar winner. He needs to be. Like,
I've never seen Revenant.
Neither have I.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I've seen.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a great movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the movies that I've watched and I was like, oh man.
I haven't seen it.
Like, he didn't do a lot of like vocal acting, but just
The physical acting.
Yeah, physical acting and his mannerisms. He did top notch work. So like, Revenant is a one movie. Watch it. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. See, personally, the storyline doesn't appeal to me. And
it didn't. It
looked
didn't
like
to me
so
at first
dark
either.
and grainy.
But then I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, it's kind of raw.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he won it for it, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think but a lot of, like you're saying, a lot of the chatter leading up to was like, Leo's got to win. He's paid his dues, and I'm like, what's that have to do with this movie?
It's like I said, it's like the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's like it's like, oh shit, he's about to lose his time to get in the hall. We better vote him in. So
okay, so Barry Bonds, does he
Oh,
deserve?
here's the thing. Yes, and here's why. Everybody knows the story now. Like why keep him out. And everyone's gonna be it's such a polarizing thing, but it's just like Pete Rose. Pete Rose needs to be in. He's the hit leader.
Yes.
He's the hit leader. Okay,
Yeah.
He's the home run leader. He did steroids. So did everybody else.
It's just so stupid.
It's also it's like everybody knows like everybody. And he never really got caught per se. He never had a positive test. It's just like we're not dumb. Like we know he did.
Yeah.
So it's like the problem is
he did all the things he did. He did all the things he needed to do to save the sport.
Right? Yeah, he helped
didn't
save
get
the
caught.
sport in a way. Him and Sosa.
Steroids have helped so many sports.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Tell me I'm lying, right? So like, whatever, man.
I think there should be a like Kurt Schilling, for example, like terrible human being, awesome baseball player, should be in the Hall of Fame. Does he get an induction ceremony? You don't have to do that part. You don't have to honor him, but you have to be like, here's a moment in time, the bloody sock, the man who was facing a 3-0 deficit in the playoffs, who came out there, did his thing, and then won a World Series.
His is political though, isn't it?
His is super political. Yeah, he's
which is even weirder because that has nothing to do with the sport at all.
Right, but he's blackballed.
You should still fucking you should give somebody their flowers at least for their work rate on something.
Right.
Like, I get there's horrible people, and I will be one of the first to probably call out a horrible person when they do a horrible thing. But like honestly, like just want people to realize some things you shouldn't do. Right.
Yeah, and I mean he's gotten like Schilling has got properly chastised by the world.
Right.
He's gotten ostracized. They don't let him really. He's out of baseball basically at this point. Like just give him what he was something to the sport. Give him what he deserved for the sport, and then move on with your life. You're actually the fact that you're prolonging it makes it more of a story every year.
Just like the Barry Bonds thing, it's going to be toxic because this is his final year, I think, of eligibility, and if he doesn't get in, it's going to be a mess. Like it's going to be people are going to be pissed, and I guess you shouldn't bend to the knee of everybody, but we try to anyways. In this,
there's no reason why.
But
like, it's a sport though. People
right?
Watch it. It's a viewing sport. Without the viewers, you don't have the sport.
It is a Hall of Fame, and he is a famous name in the sport and one of the biggest. And also, again, no one's going to forget the scandal behind it. So like,
I mean, McGuire got in, right? Like he did get in.
I don't think he. I think if he did get in, it was like really razor thin margins. I can't remember.
And I don't think Sosa got in, right?
No.
But like because he got weird.
And it's
if he wouldn't have got weird, he would have been all right.
Yeah, the change in his whole skin thing was really weird.
Yeah. That was.
But
he's a vampire now.
He's Dominican, right? Or is he Cuban? No, he's Cuban, right?
Yeah. Dominican.
Is he Dominican?
Republic,
yeah. Well, I know that there's a big thing with them there. They do that anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a cultural thing.
Oh, okay.
So we're all making fun of it because we're like, we know this thing is Dominican, but it's like a cultural thing.
If it's a cultural thing, my bad.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We are Americans and we think of one culture, but there are other cultures. Right. It's one of the things about
I'm just saying it looks like he contracted vampirism in Oblivion. I'm just saying, like, he looks like an Oblivion character now.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
It's weird. I'm just saying. But if that's what you guys do, hey man, have at it. Do it the best.
Yeah. I'm completely cool. He can look however he wants. I mean, Michael Jackson did it. I still listen to the albums.
Right. So, and there's always going to be that debate in anything you get into. Do you appreciate the artist for the art or for what they did in their personal life? Because Michael Jackson has some things in his past that
are questionable.
At the very least questionable. But the dude made Thriller, man. You can't be like, cancel. Now R. Kelly, he's out of the library. I'm sorry. I can't.
I feel weird.
I don't love it.
It's weird. Yeah, I can't vibe.
I don't love it either. But the fact that like it kind of goes back to what we talked about before we got on the podcast. If Led Zeppelin gets in, then R. Kelly gets in. Fuck you, because there's so many gross things with Led Zeppelin and
that's one of my favorite bands.
Underage girls.
But that's
galore. 13-year-old girls.
You can appreciate someone's work rate and what they did, right?
Yeah.
Outside, you can appreciate those things outside of other things that they've done, because all different sorts of.
This sounds insane, but I think what they should do is demonetize these. Like they still exist. Like the music still exists. You can still buy R. Kelly.
Yeah,
demonetize it from him. Create a victims fund for the people that went through, and then you can still listen to music guilt free because you're like, I'm supporting the victims now. I'm not supporting the guy. So I'm thinking with him, with like I know that, like I said, Led Zeppelin stole a lot too. They stole a lot of their songs, and everybody knows that now. A lot from black artists, a lot from brown artists, a lot from underappreciated artists, and so the Beatles did the same thing. A lot of those white artists back then, they stole, and to them, I don't even know if it was stealing. To them, it was just like, oh, we're gonna do it so that we can make it famous, and they didn't realize the implication of what it would mean this many years later. But still, it does mean that. Right. But with these artists and stuff, it's like when you hear the stories and you read the old information about like Led Zeppelin and the little girls that they were around. To me, it's the only thing different is they stopped before R. Kelly did.
Right.
And they did it before news cycles were literally there
wasn't hashtags, and
I mean it's so bad that like there's articles that go out there that are complete, like the Duke lacrosse story. Everybody talks about that one because that's like one of the biggest one where they went in on Duke lacrosse team and said they did all these things, and it came out that none of it was true. Rolling Stone put out an article that was a lie. They did not check it. They did not source anything.
Right.
They took one person's point of view and walked away. And then you find out they ruin these entire kids, the rest of their college career.
Right.
And you go back to it like they're martyrs for a cause now, which they had no reason to be a martyr for. And it's like we have to be able to find a way to come up with news stories that are real without jumping the gun so early that we don't have all the information.
It's a very ready, fire, aim culture we live in now. It's a we need action first. Okay, now why did it happen? We don't like the uncomfortable question of why and how.
And I brought that up to kind of circle back to the Bubba Watson thing, because I remember that there was the pull down.
Yep.
That was a huge thing.
Bubba Wallace, very common.
Watson.
Everyone,
the golfer. I fucked up the golfer.
Yes,
Wallace.
the golfer controversy. Yes.
The golfer controversy.
Yes.
No, the Wallace.
The Bubba Wallace thing. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry, I was just. It's just.
No, you're right. I said it wrong. No, I always mix those two up because those are all. That's
I
all
do
their
it.
sport.
I do it a couple times.
Yeah.
So.
But I know when that shit happened with the pull down. I know we
Yeah.
talked about it even when it happened with the pull down, and we're like looking at it like, I don't know. I don't think it looks like, but it does. But
I don't know. It looked pretty noosey to me.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But it was so tiny. It's like moving
Right.
a mouse in there.
Symbolism.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also as simple as like when you look, like when people look into like a field, like a forest, and you can make out something that's not there,
right.
and you isolate it and you create something. Now maybe it looked like that and it did seem like that, but it wasn't what it was, and it was like such a big thing.
I'll say with the Bubba Wallace thing, and I kind of mentally prepared myself for this question because I knew it was coming eventually.
Yeah. It's NASCAR, baby.
Yeah, the culture there is work to still be done in the racing culture, but it is being done.
Yeah, it feels like it is.
You can see it.
You know, there's the good old Southern boys. You're always going to have those. I just went to Bristol this past year. It's race in Tennessee, and yeah, it's that area. One of the greatest track I've been to, little half mile. But definitely, I could see myself if I wasn't, a young white guy being uncomfortable around some situations. But you're going to have that at that sport still. But they're working on it. As far as the Bubba Wallace situation, I think in that instance, I do think it was an honest mistake on so many ends.
Yeah.
I think it was just a.
But you think the media might have?
Well, yeah. I think
extrapolated it.
I think everybody was kind of in heated feelings about it. I mean, Bubba interpreted it as that. He reported it as that, and then the reports got were out. The reporters ran with it. And then when it all, the investigation concluded, they're like, no, that's been there for a few years. It wasn't targeted towards you. But I could see, I don't know what that man goes through. I don't know. And I have a hunch. I mean, he's the only black driver in the sport, in a southern white sport.
Yeah.
I'm imagining he catches shit every day.
Yeah, and has to bite his tongue. And because there's a lot of rich people in that, too, that are probably pretty bad. And it's like...
I'm just going to say, if I was Bubba Wallace and I walked into that garage, and also myself, right? Because I'm not going to not say things about things that I see.
All right.
I'd be like, yeah, that looks really noosey. Yeah. And if somebody happens to take that, beyond that, I mean, I'm still going to say, yeah, that looks super noosey, right?
Yeah.
And during the times, everything was happening. We had
but you could say,
we had protests happen. We had literal, presidents telling people they probably didn't matter and shit like that. All of those things was a melting pot for...
I just always saw a shitty SNL performance of them being like, oh yeah, that's been there, and then they're like, it could be a KKK robe. It's been there though for years, so it's not a big deal. So you can keep going and extrapolate it to worse. Oh, that's just a Nazi flag. It's been there since the 40s. Like you can't.
It hadn't bothered anybody since. What's your problem?
Yeah, you could see a stupid thing like that, but I also do think that you are everything. Who you are as a person, you see the world through your lens.
Yeah,
everybody does. We always forget that as people, is that not everybody sees things through the way you do. They don't. You are the sum of all parts. You are your lived experiences. So Bubba Wallace walking in there, seeing that, he's like, dude, this shit, I'm so sick of it. It may have happened already in his life at some point where he's like, dude, I've seen this before. And it just triggered him to the point where he's like, I got to say something. He went and took care of it. He didn't know what was going to, maybe he didn't realize that, what would happen. You can't always see that. But the media does play a role in fucking stoking flames. Like, let's get this bitch up. Because they're trying to change cultures quicker than cultures can change. Right. Sometimes it takes a while. And NASCAR its time, and like you said, they're making
Yeah.
strides.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And getting it done, and they're changing the sport. They're making it more inclusive. You know, Let's Go Brandon is the big thing that's going on. I know you probably prepared yourself for that one. We talked about it. He
I'm
loves
so
Let's
happy
Go Brandon.
for Brandon. So happy
So-
for Brandon. He's getting so much love.
Here's
man.
the thing about the Let's Go Brand. Okay, yeah. So Brandon Brown, I will give anybody watching this in the comment section without looking it up. Brandon Brown, if you could tell me like what the significance of Brandon Brown is, I would literally give you my life savings. But it's okay. Exactly. Nobody does. And that's the part where I'm like, oh my god. It's like you guys are literally wearing hats over this and you don't even know what like the basis of the story. You just know it's code for fuck Joe Biden and all that. And political wise, I'm kind of down the middle. I don't like to talk a lot of politics. I mean, there's stuff on the Democrat side. I'm like, that makes sense. There's stuff on the Republican side. I'm like, that makes sense. And there's a whole lot of shit on both sides where I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. And there's more of that than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Way more filler.
But the Let's Go Brandon thing, a young kid, Brandon Brown, he was in, there's 3 levels of NASCAR's main like televised series. There's the truck series, which literally they race trucks. It's really awesome. You gotta check it out. There's the Xfinity series that I like to equate to AAA baseball. It's like you're right there, but you're not quite top tier, and they're usually accompanying racing on Saturdays with the big dogs race on Sundays. You know, just to give the fans more value for their buck for the weekend. And then Sunday's the big, the NASCAR Cup Series drivers. So the Saturday race at Talladega this past fall, Brandon Brown had never won a race before in his life, and won Talladega, and that's an awesome story. I was like, man, that's awesome, And so, heat of the moment, he gets out of the car, he's celebrating, having a great time, living. This is the peak of his. I mean, the family. I believe his dad had cancer, or still does. Family owned, or that's one thing I love about NASCAR, that you can literally, if you have the money and commitment and just willpower, you can get into the sport. It's not like the NFL where even Jeff Bezos is trying to get in the game and is having a hard time. Like, if you got the money and the commitment, build a car, go out there. You just got to qualify.
Yeah.
And Brandon did it. He finally won a race with his family owned team, his car, everything, and it was a feel good story. And then you get these clowns in the stands yelling "fuck Joe Biden," which I mean, like, okay, you don't like the guy, sure, whatever.
And it's become almost like a sport cultural.
Yeah, and it's like the dude is having the moment of his life, and you're up. That's what pissed me off about the whole thing. It's like the dude is like, if it would be me, and like I got out of the car, I'm like, fuck yeah, I finally won, and then they're all yelling "fuck Joe." I'm like, is he behind me? Like, I don't care
Did
about
he just
that.
walk
Right?
in?
Yeah, like,
Can I meet him? Hi.
I don't
like-
know.
like,
I don't know. If I was Brandon Brown, I would be capitalizing on this "Let's Go Brandon."
See,
thing
now that's-
right fucking now.
yeah, see.
Everything would be me. Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon.
Right.
Let's go Brandon.
Someone, there is the marketing appeal of it, but unfortunately, he won't see a dime of any of that. But anyway, yeah. So, and then the reporter is in an awkward position of trying to interview this kid who just got his first win. He's jubilant. He's happy, and they're all yelling "fuck Joe Biden." So she's just like, I think they're yelling "Let's go Brandon,"
Yeah,
like,
she's
just trying to play it off. And then of course the Republicans just took it and ran. The media's covering it up. They're this, they're that. Let's go Brandon. That's our new warrior
Not
cry.
covering shit up. She just doesn't want to say, "Oh, they're chanting fuck Joe Biden."
I think it all would have been fixed if she just be like, well, apparently some other people are focused on other things that aren't here. Let's just get
right.
But she was trying to play it off, trying to make it about him because it was his moment, like you said. And
the politicians would still have made that.
Yeah.
Oh, they're covering up.
Exactly,
Things.
and
because
that's the
politics
part.
has to be about sports.
Everything has
vice
to be
versa.
mixed,
So.
And that's the part that just annoys me about the whole story. As far as how you feel about Sleepy Joe and Dolan Trump and anybody else, they're all clowns in my opinion. But however you feel about it, fine. But like, let the kid have his moment. That's my biggest thing. It's like me being so passionate about the sport. Let the kid who, like I said, dad is still sick or has been sick. I can't remember now. Funding everything into this car, putting all their manpower into it, and being at the top of your moment for that moment, and you make it political. That just drives me nuts. It's like, let the kid enjoy himself. And so then, of course, you see everybody with the hats and the shirts of "Let's Go Brandon."
The song, that's the weird part.
Yeah, it's
the
like
fucking #1 song.
It's like, I know
on iTunes charts was "Let's Go Brandon," and it's some black rapper who's he's a black rapper, so at least I'll take that. But he's like doing the whole like, how I feel about Joe Biden. They're all pedophiles and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. And then you're like, listen to the song, you're like, it actually kind of it's catchy, but at the same time, it's because it's repetitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I will say, going into my podcast, I won't dive a lot into and
the politics.
and there's a lot in NASCAR, unfortunately. I won't dive too much into that side of it. I want to have fun with this. I want to make money. I want others to make money. I want people to laugh at my pain when I'm not making money.
Yeah.
It's going to be more comedic than anything. But I do intend, if this takes off, to maybe do some more long-form type discussions of, race, politics, being a woman in the sport, because there's a lot of stories that people don't know about the sport that I think should be known about. Bubba's a huge story. Haley Deegan, there's a girl in the truck series. She's lighting it up. There's a really, and I can imagine being in.
Just wait until the LGBTQ community
Right.
gets more in depth into NASCAR. I don't know how in depth.
Well, we had Jeff Gordon, so
I mean, yeah.
according to Bob and Tom.
Every
Well,
time.
no, Rainbow Road.
Yeah, that was a good song.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon's gay.
Yeah, probably.
Gordon's gay.
Probably would get canceled now, but
Oh, yeah,
still,
he wouldn't be able
it's
to do that anymore.
but still a classic.
It's cool to be gay, though.
Yeah. Nowadays it is hip.
Yeah.
Back then, though, it was a slur, and we all knew it. It was
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
But it was like at the time, it was just funny to hear it. It's like I forgot all about that song until we said that, and then it was like, oh, I remember that song. I was a kid when that came out.
Everyone's heard it. Yeah.
My mom used to listen to Bob and Tom every morning when they take me to school or doing something. So there was always that and all the it's Friday, all that shit. And it was crazy shit. But yeah, that was such an important part of like when I was younger. Bob and Tom. Now it's like I have no interest in listening to that shit.
Right. Yeah, I just do. As far as kind of if you're kind of wanting an idea of what my podcast is about, a lot of my major influences are like, and again, I take some of the left and the right that I like, because Dan Le Batard is very liberal, and I love Dan. I love his content, but there's some things where I'm like, okay, you're going a little too deep in now. Let's rein it in. Let's get back into some sports. And then I love Barstool and what they do sometimes. I mean, then there's times where I'm like, okay, you can take the MAGA hats off a little bit. Let's rein it in. Let's get a little more into the sports. But I see both elements, and I see there's a lot there that I really draw inspiration from. And then I'm like, I see this wide open avenue of like, no one's doing this, so let's take what I like here. Let's take what I like here. Let's see what I can do with it and run with it.
Yeah. It's exciting. Do you know when you're going to release your first?
Yeah, so I'm looking for maybe at the earliest the last week of January, first week of February. I'm kind of feeling it out and seeing, because it's going to be based around that LA race, that exhibition race. Seeing how it goes, making some bets, things like that, and then of course when it's weird. NASCAR's really weird. Their Super Bowl event is their opening weekend. That's how they do things. So they'll have their little exhibition, get everybody kind of acclimated, do their little fun race, and then the Daytona 500 is that very next weekend or in 2 weeks, and that's when it's like, okay, we're here to win, and then it's balls to the wall for 38 weeks. So. Yeah. So yeah, that's when it's going to be coming out. Stay tuned. Slide Job Podcast.
There you go. We haven't said the name.
Yes, I guess I'm a terrible marketer. I need a marketing guy. Somebody please.
That's okay.
Slide Job.
You got all the time to plug. So
right. Slide Job Podcast is going to be the name of the podcast. Yeah, it's a slide job is a NASCAR term. It's just really funny. When someone's like, on the inside of a turn and then they come up and like slide up in front of that guy to block them. It's called the slide job. Yeah. And it just became funny because there was a really popular race. Dale Jr., who everybody loves, was in the booth. I think it was his first ever race in the booth too, and it was an epic battle. They're sliding around and he just kept yelling, slide job, like just loving it, and it just became a thing. So I was like, it's got to be the slide job pod,
that's baller.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's great because then people that are into it can learn about that, or people that aren't into it can learn about people that are into it. Or like, yeah, I know what the fuck that means.
Right.
That's
right.
awesome.
A lot of getting in the loose stuff. Ran out of racetrack. There's a lot of funny terms in racing. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for you. I know that you've got a lot to say about it because I've seen a lot of the posts on Twitter and stuff, and I know you're very knowledgeable about the sport, and I know that you're going to work really hard on it because it's something that you actually care about. And that's what I think a lot of people have to get in their heads is you can like something but not love it. You have to love something that you actually, if you love something and you do something about it, people are going to feel it. People are going to feel it. They're going to get into it, even if they weren't previously into it, because they're like, oh, this guy's making it accessible for me.
Right.
This is true in the most of ways. So I cannot wait for you to start your podcast.
Appreciate that.
When you come back, or when you start, come back on, and we'll do some promotion for you.
We'll
do when you hit us up with the links when you release the first podcast, so we can share it on the page.
Yeah, for sure.
Excited about it. I mean, I know we're both kind of mutuals with Dustin, and we have a long history because of the Kokomo Scare 2.0, and I know you know about all that shit, and you were around and all them. So I'm excited to get you. I want to get you on the page as quick as possible as soon as you get it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And we want we talk about all the time. We want creative people that are doing cool things around the town to come on and do things.
Yeah.
And we want to elevate it, especially if it's stuff we're not doing. Like we're not going to do
Well,
it.
it's outside the box stuff, like it, and it's a niche thing for somebody. Like, and then Kokomo is this crazy, weird melting pot of mostly meth, but I mean there are some roses in this, and you're one of them, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, I love to create. I mean, between doing music in high school and hosting talent shows and acting and
that's one of the
gaming,
things we first ever did together.
Yeah, we acted. That's right. You were the Cowardly Lion. I was the Tin Man.
Yeah,
I remember that.
We did the
high school
Wizard of Oz.
Yes,
Yeah,
dominated it too.
And then I remember. Flynn, you know me.
A little hip hop there.
When we had Scrap on, remember when we were doing the Why So Serious? You were part of it.
Yeah,
right?
I was in that song. Yeah, I helped.
That
was I think he was doing a project at the time. Ended up getting scrapped. So I was like, hey, this song fucking hits. I'll take it. I'll put it on one of my projects. So we worked. Scrap and I worked together all through high school. It was a good time. He's a little older than me, but all the time I was in high school. Yeah, and I still hang out with the guy. I love the guy.
Yeah. He does a lot with the wrestling and a lot with ACW. So I know I've seen him up there when I go up there all the time. Mm-hmm. And then you were like, I'm gonna get Scrap on the podcast. I'm like, we'll get Nick on the podcast and we'll have you. I'm like, I know we had. There was that Pose For Me song that we did together, actually.
Yeah, we did one. Yeah,
I could not get. It was the first time I ever done that, like recorded by myself. I could not get the sound right.
It's all right,
no matter what I did. But I was like, he released it, and I was like, I appreciate he released it. And then I would show people, and they'd be like, dude, this is really cool. They really liked it.
Yeah,
but it was like it had a cool little hook on it.
Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, but I did think I was pretty good. I mean, I wasn't like some of these jokers you see out here. There's some really bad ones out there. But
I won't name any names.
I was at least average, so
I'll
give myself that.
One of them just got a DV beat. Did you see that shit?
A what?
One of the rappers in town just got a domestic violence hit on him.
Oh no!
Yeah,
just
disorderly and stuff.
Street cred. No.
Everybody's favorite mayor. If that help.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, he got hit, and then he like shared something of mine on Facebook the other day, and I was like, I felt dirty. I was like, maybe I should delete that. I can't stand it. Like I don't dislike the guy. Like he's out there doing his thing, but like when you see a DV, I'm like, I'm done. I don't really want to mess with you. Yeah. It's like the Kokomo Brief guys and all that shit. And they didn't even. I was waiting. I patiently wait. I know that you guys posted that, and I was a little apprehensive about posting it, but I was waiting for them to post something on their page about it and like try to spin it. Mm-hmm. They just acted like it didn't happen.
Yeah,
and that's what drove me crazy. The guy who runs Kokomo Brief got a domestic.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was gonna say
the second one. It's the second one. The first one, it can be like, okay, maybe you and your girl are fighting, and she's.
Second one, you might like to hit people.
I start to women, and it's even worse. So it gets to the point where you're like, okay, like, and then they just keep moving on, and people say, and when you're leading, like I say, leading in a very, very sarcastic tone, but when the leading, right wing page in Kokomo, the guy has had 2 domestic violence. At some point, somebody's got to step up and take over that right wing mantle, and it can't be him. And so, like, they've got to figure that out. But there's multiple guys on that. I know that. But I know the main guy just got hit.
Okay.
It's also not to say that, look, man, we live in a crazy town. And, like, there's crazy amount of shit that happens, right? Been in situations myself, like, obviously we don't want anybody to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't put your hands on anyone. But also we understand that sometimes there are situations out of your control that you should have never put yourself into. But you're there.
Yeah.
So, as that, and as someone who has came from, like, bad shit, bad situations, you have to pull yourself out of that. And you have to recognize the signs that you need to pull yourself out of that. So, hopefully, if you see any of us doing anything or like trying to like do something out in the community or like be creative, make these pages, like even the Kokomo Brief guys, dude, like I give them so much shit, but like I hope that dude gets his life together, to be honest. Like I hope that dude gets his life together, and I hope that like he can fucking strive. I don't like you, but I'm still a decent person.
Yeah, but I still don't think you should be the figurehead of a gigantic right wing page if you've got. I mean, it's one thing if you like.
It's not a good look. Not a good look.
And you're talking about over the years.
Gonna...
It's been a 5-year gap, I think, between the first one and the second one. That tells me there's no growth there. Yeah. And I'm like, if you get one DV, like I said, things can happen. Things can happen in the heat of a moment. I'm not gonna give anybody like try to chastise somebody for making a mistake one time and then fixing it in their life. But when it happens, and then it happens again, then it happens again, and you're an asshole, it all starts to add up to me.
Right.
It adds.
It's probably the last part more than anything.
But yeah, I remember you used to do a lot of stuff with Colton too.
K-Dot. K-Dot. Yeah, I for somebody who's quietly living in the suburbs, working at a bank with a family, I've done a lot with a lot of local artists.
It's pretty cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, I still in contact with a lot of those people, and I still get asked once in a while, you still make music? I'm like, no, I'm an overweight white guy out of the army and work at a bank and have everything going for me. I got nothing to be angry about because a lot of my music back then was it was a very hard time in my life, and that was my way out. The music was my way out. Now that I'm kind of complacent.
I remember at one point it was a lot of it was about a girl.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
but we've all been there when you're an artist,
there,
especially young when you're talking like you're talking. I think maybe you were, 20? Younger than that?
Oh, younger than that. We were 16, 17 years old when we started recording, and then I think the last thing I recorded, I was in my mid-20s. About 5 or 7 years ago.
It's pretty funny watching Colton go from where he was then to like where he is now, because he's gotten so much better.
Yeah, he's always been really strong.
He was really good back then, but he's gotten so much better lyrically than. I mean, he was good then, but you can always. I mean, as you get older, you get better.
Yeah,
especially with time.
It was funny back in the day with Colton. It's like Colton and I were the most friendly rivals. It felt like it seemed like we were always wanting to kind of like I don't want to say outdo or be better than one another, but it just seemed like we always had that competition to really push each other, and I really like that with Colton. Guy's good, man. I got nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah, he hit me up about doing a music video. I haven't heard from him in a while, but he was going to do a music video and wanted me to be the crazy guy with my shirt off, and I'm like, everybody knows me as that
Everybody
guy.
needs a hairy titty. That's
at least he didn't ask you to dress up in drag.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true. Did you volunteer though?
Yeah.
I knew it.
I made you dress up in drag. I made him dress up
one time.
Yeah. He's like, and then you look so like sad in the picture. Like, I hate those. I just got off work. I want to go home and sleep.
I was trying to look dark, brooding, and sexy.
It worked.
I give you guys props. You guys go above and beyond for comedy sometimes.
Oh yeah, we try to make everything funny. We're trying to have a good time. I mean, that's the one thing about, we do live in a small town, but like we've got, even with, if you don't like the options, you've got options. There's so much going on in this town. There's so many creative people. We've got you, we've got Scrap, we've got Davey, we've had Sean. We've had so many great people on Kim, who's, I mean, his girl, she's fucking a chemist.
Absolute
I swear.
best
Does
stylist
the best hair
in Kokomo.
And colors. Like, she does so many.
But check her out for some balayages, though. She's straight fire.
What's
on
a
those.
balayage? I don't know what the fuck that is.
See, culture yourself. You need to learn.
Balayage. That just reminds me of that song.
Yeah, I feel like a good balayage you could get at the red light district. So
it's look, go
a Bali massage.
Look, nah.
Take your girl these numbers.
Tell him to get a balayage done. Have Kim do it. She'll do fire job.
Yeah. I believe you. Yeah. I believe you. But I'm just happy. I'm happy that we've been able to get so many creatives on here, do so much stuff. I mean, like I said, you've been prolific. As long as I've known you, you've always done creative stuff. So when I saw that you were doing the podcast, I was like, let's get him on here quick. Let's talk about what's going to go on. And when I saw your idea for like trying to get younger people into it, people who've never been in the NASCAR, which is, like I said, as somebody who's never been in NASCAR, you've got him already sold. I've never been in NASCAR. I might start listening to podcasts. I might be out betting you soon.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like my goal wasn't to suddenly have NBC report that they got like a 12% increase in viewership because of my podcast. Although TV ratings are doing really well in racing, people are getting interested again. So that's good. But no, even if you don't watch a single race, but you tune in and kind of get an idea of what's going on and throw some money down and catch the end of the race, my job's been complete at that point. I don't expect you to go out and get a Dale Senior tattoo or anything like that. Yeah. But if you want to check it out,
well, for the podcast,
have some fun.
I'm just kidding.
Right now, I shaved my back here. Actually, it's a number 3. I thought we were all doing that.
Yeah, we were all down with it.
No, so
back of the head.
I get a 3.
Yeah, I mean, because really, like, and jokingly, when I was like, there's nothing like that FCS chaser for football. There's nothing like when your guy's leading with like 10 to go, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna turn $20 into 300 if please don't blow a tire, please. Like you're praying to every god, Like there's a certain high you get from that like I want
Tom Cruise.
I'm trying to get
Jewish
people,
God.
right?
Yes,
exactly. I'm praying to Oprah and everybody else at that point. So. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to expose you to my high. I'm trying to sell you my drug.
Yeah, hell yeah,
I like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's the Side Job podcast. It comes out in November, and when the new season comes out, it's going to do a recap and then start off with the whole new season. You'll get a lot of new information in February. Did I say February?
You said November.
No,
yeah.
I'm done.
It comes out next week.
Next week. It's coming out. The new season.
News to me.
February. My bad.
No, February.
Yes.
We're making them rush.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think of it all at the same time.
So yeah, I mean Daytona 500, like I said, biggest race of the year. If you want like a preview or something of that, let me know. I'll come back on and give you guys some things to look out for, and we'll do it.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, this is Kokomo Press Podcast. We're here with Nick Flynn. I'm Jordan.
I'm Jordan.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.
See ya.
Later.
Good kisses.
Hey, what up? You just listened to the podcast. Thanks for putting up with us for the last, hour or so. Really appreciate that. You can find us on all major podcast platforms. You can find this guy on a lot of different shit. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, some Instagram shit, whatever. Also, buy our merch. Can I grab you consensually? Buy our merch.